Hi guys, I'm ExactChaos and welcome to Cities Skylines Mass Transit. I must say I am so excited about this game. I've been waiting for it for months. Cities Skylines, while it's not something I've played on my channel before, is something that I've put many an hour in and I just absolutely love it, and the Mass Transit DLC is something that I've been waiting for a long time. This is really my kind of thing because even back before the DLC, when I was playing Cities Skylines, I was doing it from a traffic and transport kind of point of view. So the Mass Transit DLC plays right to where I want to play. So just before I get started, so I'm going to start playing a fresh new map. It's fairly vanilla, not vanilla, fairly vanilla. I've removed most of the mods because the traffic manager and traffic president and those kind of things, I've taken them out to be able to make use of the new vanilla items, which I think mainly come from the mods. There are still assets, but the kind of stuff that I have, the mods that I do have, is I've got the 25 purchasable tiles, I've got the chirpy exterminator, and I've got the automatic bulldozer on. So just some of the stuff that that kind of just makes the game work a little better. But before I get into it, the real thing that I like to play with is to do it not. There's a lot of guys on YouTube that play City Skylines to look nice, like the architectural kind of it, how the city looks, to make it look realistic and that kind of thing. That's not the way I play City Skylines. Just by the way, I'm a much more functional kind of guy. I'm not really into the creative aspects of how you make it look exactly like it would in the real life. What I am, however, all about is about the way cities naturally develop. You can't just plump a lot of 50-story buildings down in an area over here straight away. It just doesn't work that way. Cities slowly develop from over time, and the key thing about that is, yes, the development increases in density and so on. So that's the one thing. But the thing that I'm really keen on is actually the transport component of it. It starts out with some small roads, then those roads get bigger, there's new higher capacity intersections, that kind of thing. And the reason that's so interesting for me is because that is actually what I do for a living. I am a transport planner, and basically I do strategic planning for cities. And so that's why I really would like to I like to do my cities in a natural or a real kind of way in that regard. Not the architectural side, not the way it looks, but the way it functions. I want a real city in the way it functions. So please bear that in mind as I go along. It won't always look perfect, but I will always strive to make it as functional as possible. So let's get straight into it. So I've chosen one of the new maps that's part of the DLC. It's called Arid Plains. And yeah, that's pretty much what we've got over here. And this is just the standard stuff. Let's start building some roads. Okay, so the one caveat on the whole message that I just gave you is that I'm going to try and do it naturally. The one thing that is obviously not natural is these extensive highway networks with interchanges through an empty map. So that's obviously not quite natural. So what we'll do is we'll obviously go off from there, but then we'll do natural from the we'll do a kind of almost a natural growth from there. Oh, I also want to remember I kind of just mentioned that I have unlocked all the progress. So from the start, I will have everything available, all the road types, etc. So bear that in mind also. I just don't like being stuck with certain smaller items if realistically you wouldn't use those. Okay, so let me quickly run through the stuff that's probably new in this DLC. So if I go through the roads, a lot of the old roads are still there, but then we can kind of see asymmetrical 3-lane road. I don't think that is an app or a mod, sorry. A monorail track on a 2-lane road, that is definitely new. And then dirt roads on 4-lane roads, medium roads. We've got the standard stuff, yeah, all of this was there. That's new, I think. Large avenue with grass, that's new. Bus and taxi lanes, yeah, that's new too. And then the monorail in the middle, yeah, good. Okay, highways. Most of these are there, or is this? No, this is not highways. This is large roads. Yeah, apologies. So we've got all of those. Ooh, so see, these are assets though. So I haven't kind of deleted all the assets that I used. Okay, now going to highways. What is this? Two-way highway. I think usually you used to have national road in a mod. Not there anymore. Two-way road with sound barriers. Two-lane highway. One-way, etc., etc., and then larger kind of four-lane highways. Good. Interchanges, I think this is just the standard stuff plus some assets that I have, and this is also pretty standard. Okay, from there, I don't think there's anything, districts, all of that's nothing new there. Might be some assets in here. A wave power plant, I think that's not new. And there's some assets in here. I'm not going to run through all of this. The big thing is the transport stuff, so let's go to that. Okay, so yeah, some of these are assets. Okay, so let's get going. So here we've got tram. Tram is not new. Tram was in a previous DLC. Metro is not new. Train is not new, but though I do understand that now you can actually switch, say whether it accepts local only or regional rail. We've got ships, which includes ferries now. These things are new. We'll have a look at that. What is this? Ferry pathway. Excellent. Let's have a look at that. Some airport stuff. Ooh, blimp. Not just, so this is just plane in general. So we've got some airports, and now we've got a blimp depot, a blimp stop, a blimp pathway. Excellent. That's great stuff. And this is monorail. We've got monorail stations with roads, with bus hubs, with train hubs. Oh, I love it. I love it. Real proper integrated transport. Public transport is awesome. And, ooh, hang on. Yeah, some different types of rails for them. Okay, and what is this? Ah, cable cars. Excellent. So if we've got a hilly environment, cable cars is great. Cable car cables and various end-of-line stops and just stops. Excellent. Okay, let's get straight into it. Okay, I am just going to start out in this general area, and I'm going to have a quick look at the resources we have available. So in this general area, we have nothing, maybe a little bit of trees. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start planning out like a main street, a very standard main street for some commercial, and then I'm going to do possibly a standard industrial and a little bit of residential alongside it. Very basic stuff. I'm not going to do very focused stuff on, but what we can do is we can probably grow into this area to go into a bit of a lumber industry. From a farming point of view, I don't think there's much for us to do. There's a little bit of ore over here and no oil that I can see. Okay, perfect. So that's pretty much it. So let's pop out of this. And let's just get, ooh, how do I get out of this? Can I, yeah, okay, there we go. So let's get started on some real proper Main Street. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run these as just like a one-way road for a little bit in there. There we go. And ooh, I'm wondering if I can actually turn these around. So let me do this. This is the way I used to build them. Oops. I used to build them like so, and then what I do is I would just turn them around. Can I? Oh, elevation step. Interesting. I wonder if oh, this might be precision engineering, to be honest. Can I can't turn this around? How do I flip it around? Okay, well, if that's the case, sorry guys, I have to bulldoze it, which I cannot find either. Bulldoze? Really? How come I cannot find bulldozing? Huh? Oh, over here. Oh, sorry guys. I swear I've played this game before. I've logged some like 300 hours in this game. Blackwell Highway. Yeah. White Highway. Why wouldn't they have the same name though? White Street. Oh, look at that. White Highway, White Street. Nice. I like the continuity. Okay, so let's pop this one back in there. Ooh, I keep clicking the wrong stuff. I must be used to some other games. Nice. Okay, now What I'm going to do from here is I'm going to do an avenue type arrangement. So just a standard 4-lane. I'm going to run it from there to there, and then I'm going to run it down here. And I'm not playing with, I'm playing with cache. So I'm going to do that. So this is a very standard main street type setup, and that's how most kind of towns, rural towns, developed into bigger towns and into cities, at an intersection, not quite a main street, but then that intersection kind of spread and became a main street, and then spread into becoming an actual city. So what we will do now is we will actually start doing a few spurs off of this road. And at the moment, we're just going to do it very nice and perpendicular. We're not going to do funny shapes just yet. We'll probably get into that a bit later. Okay, so I'm going to do very practical arrangement where at least we can, very practical arrangement where we maximize our zoning. Okay, something like that. Nice, and it can even go down. So cities and towns generally evolved with a grid-like pattern, like I'm showing over here. Okay, and I wanted to actually extend that one more. Well, actually, it doesn't really matter. And what you'll see I'm doing here is I'm doing T-junctions instead of 4-way junctions, because it affects the number of phases that a signal would have, and it increases the capacity. So I think at the start, this is kind of what we're going to start with. Now, first things first, I know this game wants you to build residential first, and I'll probably do that, build residential first. But to be extremely honest, cities developed, the main streets, let's start with Main Street. Main streets developed around an intersection that was busy, and the intersection got busy because it had commercial. Okay, so it had the first shops in the town area around an intersection, and that then grew into a main street. So yes, I know that's not perfect. That intersection would have probably been around here, and then this road would have bypassed around it. This is the highway in a later stage. So what I'm doing is I'm naturally saying, okay, this is the bypass. But I'm doing my main street here, saying this was the key intersection going into the bypass, and I'm doing the main street from there. And that's basically how I'm developing the city over here. Okay, so we've got our first commercial in there. I'm not going to jump straight into high density, even though I've unlocked this. I didn't really unlock it for these high density purposes. I've unlocked it to make sure I've got all the road types and so on. And then what typically happened with that is the side behind the main road was then classed as the residential. And the same thing can also happen on the other side. You can run it like so, and to the back of that would have been industrial. In this case, I'm going to put it a little bit back more, just something like that. So there we go. That is the setup, a basic start of a town setup. It had some homes, some commercial, and some industrial. Well, industrial depending on what kind of area it was in. Okay, so in this game we also need some power. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start us out with a wind power. It's very standard practice, and I know to do that. Just because it's just not feasible. In a small town environment, there would have been a power line running along from the nearest major city, and you would just kind of get some power from there. No towns start out by building a power plant. So in order to kind of keep our costs low and the power generation but allow the power generation that we need, I think wind power kind of does the trick. Okay, and what I'll do is I need to obviously run it like that, right? And just to be very clear, this is how power works. They have to actually run the cables, and in most rural places they run the cables. Actually, that's not going to work for us now because we've just zoned that area. Actually, we'll get the other area to develop first. Perfect. The next thing we're going to need is some water. So actually, and because water does very much the same thing, it doesn't quite start from the middle of nowhere. It just or it's kind of run. Well, actually, to be very honest, water is probably actually received from something like that. Okay, and we'll run that down there and extend that as necessary. Okay, it's probably done locally. Water is probably done locally, unlike power, which is very difficult to do locally. Okay, I think that is it for us for now. We need sewage. So I I generally don't like the water drain. So what is it called? The water drain? Water drain pipe. I don't like it. I generally don't like it. But I will add it because it's a necessary evil for this game. And then we'll run this straight down there, like so, and like so. And of course, we'll need to get the power to run straight down here. Right, so if we extend, and then we'll run it that way. So if we extend the road, the power will just go straight down the road. And that is our basic setup. So let's get started on getting that to build out. Okay, interesting traffic already running around here. Oh, what is this highway called? This is Pleasant Highway and Adams Highway. And I must say, already off the bat, there is something that I'm not quite happy with, and the fact that they are naming the two different directions of the highway two different names. So that's obviously not correct. Anything like that would have a standard. This highway would have the same name, this road would have the same name, and then obviously this road now has the same name. So this is Mason Avenue. Nice. Mason Avenue is our main street, and then we've got Evans Street. Nice, I like it. Stevens Street, or yeah, Stevens Street. Ooh, two Stevens Streets. Don't like that. And another Evans Street. Oh, Smith Street. So we've got Oak Street. We've got Evans Street, Oak Street, and Smith Street, and that's all fine. And then we've got Evans Street again. Obviously not loving that. Okay, so as you can see, immediately we've got stuff popping up. We've got houses, quite a bit bigger than I would have expected, actually, to be honest with you, than I would have expected from a town like this. But we are ever so steadily growing. Okay, so this side, we don't have power. So what I'll do is I'll extend the power over there. That should help us out. And I will do the same thing with the water. I will run the water like so. Okay, and then we'll do it, ooh, a little bit too much, so we'll do it like so. Nice, there we go. Water and power running to these buildings. Okay, the next thing that we obviously need, but is going to put us into some trouble with regards to our finances. As you see, we're losing money at a hell of a pace. And yeah, to be honest, well, maybe what we should do is we should extend this a little bit. So yeah, let's just extend that for now. Okay, the other thing that I would like to point out about developing towns, which is fairly inaccurate in the way most people play Cities Skylines, is the fact that you don't actually allow buildings everywhere and then just build a road through it, because this property in reality actually belongs to someone. So once they buy there, that belongs to someone. So to try and then build a road through there, you have to buy that property back from them, which can be very, very, very expensive. So for that reason, this is not really the way it's done. So what would happen in reality is this section through here would not be zoned, because that would actually leave a right-of-way space for the road to continue in the future. And you could do that at a number of places. But anyway, so that's how you would do it. Okay, so bear in mind that will be the way that I go, right? So to try and leave space for roads as we expand and not actually bulldoze developments. Okay, so that's something to bear in mind. Okay, let's keep playing. Okay, now we're seeing our industrial is popping in. We're getting some more residential places popping up. Very big houses, I must say. That's our areas. What I do want to have a look at, though, and I can't remember where to find it, is the actual kind of time of day. Oh, solve these guys' issues first. So again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to extend beyond there, always alongside the road. It's very rarely that utilities are in areas where there aren't roads. So utilities would typically be placed directly adjacent to a road like this. I know for simplicity's sake, I'm running it pretty much under, especially in this big one. But you won't generally find utilities under the road because it's too difficult to get to them. They would be running alongside, and there will be a little bit of gap between the house and the road for the utilities to run through. So as you can hear, I'm definitely looking at it from a more functional, realistic point of view and not worrying too much about the absolute aesthetics. Though I do like having it look nice, but it's not my main purpose for playing. Okay, so now what we'll do is we'll start extending this road again. That's too close, so we'll extend this out a little bit more, and we'll just make some decent street blocks. Decent street blocks, and as we expand, we now finally see, guys, we need to extend that road through there. Nice. Okay, so that's what we're doing, and we are further expanding our residential areas. And I know I expanded the utilities before the road, but I think if you have a look, we're pretty close, right? Again, under the road. So if you stay under the roads, that's exactly where utilities would go, and it spaces them very nicely. Okay, so we have found that we indeed have a lot of demand for more industrial. People are moving in, so we need to provide them with some more industrial. An elevated highway in the middle of nowhere. You would never see that in real life. So that's the kind of thing. So in my playing, I will build things that are actually natural and realistic. And so elevated highways in the middle of nowhere, absolutely no point in doing that because it's not required. It's way too expensive to build stuff like that in reality. And so you wouldn't see that. Okay, so let's add our industrial section over here even more. And the next thing we probably should look, okay, so for the first time, we're just about to pop into a positive balance, a positive income. But we need to look at some of these things. We need to provide some services. Okay, the one thing that I'm actually going to do here is I am going to divert the power lines. So power lines, power lines could run in the road. So, but the higher voltage power lines like these, I mean the standard like wooden power poles or things like that, they are pretty straightforward, right? Okay, but the big stuff, okay, so I'm going to connect that one up there. The big stuff like this does actually have its own little corridor without being zoned. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to run this one down here in a similar way that the other has been done. I'm going to run it there, I'm going to connect it there, and I'm going to delete this one because this one is running straight alongside our main street, which, yes, that's typically how it started out. But it's becoming a problem because honestly, we'd rather zone this area. And I believe that area is zoned. So, how have we lost power? No, hang on. How can this? We've run out of power. Let's have a quick look. Yes, we've run out of power. So we'll add an extra one over here so that we've got more power to work with. And at some point, we'll move away from wind power, because it's just too difficult to maintain. Okay, you can see these guys are saying the crime is a bit on the high side. So, while we are making a bit of money now, we're going to lose it pretty quickly because we need to build a police station. Is there something like a police helicopter depot? I love it. Anyway, so a police station like this is probably pretty big for a town like so we'll just pop it in there. But what you would have is like a rural police station with just a little bit. We're still making some money. So the next thing we need to do is we need to probably get this whole suite of services. So we'll do the clinic on this side, and then we will add a fire department. That's police again. Fire department all the way over here. Nice. And all of these would typically be on the main street of a new town. Nice. So now they are saying, guys, we need some more. We honestly need some more people to work here. So we should probably start looking at extending out these guys a little bit more. So we can do so. Nice. And I can probably add another bit over here. Nice. And again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to now offset it a little bit. So I'll leave room over there, and I'll do through all the way to there, and then I'll leave room over here for another road. So a true grid pattern like this with full four-way intersections all the way through starts to become a problem as areas become busy. So for that, and it allows a lot of through traffic. The other thing to bear in mind is there's not a lot of room for this to expand, so we need to remember that as we go on. Okay, so now we're getting some more people. Next problem has popped up. We need garbage disposal. Obviously, we're not going to build any of the big stuff just yet. What we are going to do, though, is we're going to allocate a garbage facility. What is this called? A landfill site. Ooh, what is that? This is new. Toggle traffic routes. Oh, it's just showing where they're going. Okay, I thought I could actually allocate a route, which would have been amazing. Okay, someone's died. So that's the other thing I should bear in mind. Oh, we've run out of power again. That's pretty much insane. Okay, we'll pop in one more. Or we'll probably do a few more, to be honest. And then we will start moving into some other power generation that's less expensive. Because really, running a lot of windmills is expensive as it goes up, so we need to move to something else. Oh, yes, so we need to allocate a cemetery. I've got medical helicopter depot. Yeah, that came in the evacuation or the disasters one. Okay, a cemetery also, along with like a church, would be very standard on the main street though. So I could potentially do that, pop in a cemetery over here. Not necessarily on there though. It could also kind of be to the back over here. And again, as I mentioned, I would never build it like so. What would happen in reality is the town would expand. What you would do is you would expand the roads of the town in such a fashion that you could actually build a cemetery. And that is what we're going to do because we're doing a realistic playthrough. So that's a spot over there. So we'll build a cemetery over there. We've expanded the town to build the cemetery, and we're going to build the road network to suit it. Excellent. So there you go. A church and cemetery in the town, and we probably can expand this one a little bit so that we can start looking at an extra road through there. I am thinking it would probably be good practice for us to consider building a road through there so that people can actually join the main street, like that. I'm coining it, the main street. The main street from all kinds of angles to avoid a lot of traffic. Okay, so there you go. Cemetery is in place. So some of these dead guys should move away. Excellent. And as you can see, we've got plenty of demand for more residential. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually expand this one out, and I will run it through that way in order. Okay, oops, these guys aren't happy. They don't want the roads. They actually live in this area. And I will expand through here where I've allocated space, and I will expand through on this side where I didn't allocate space, but I kind of kept in mind that's what I want to do. And we're out of power again. This is insane how much power we are requiring so early on. Excellent. We see some more work, more stuff happening here with the commercial popping up. And this is the start of our new town. Excellent. This is great. I haven't zoned this area though. I don't necessarily need to do so, but I will. We need to allocate that area. I've got the automatic bulldoze mod in. Yeah, so it's bulldozing that automatically. But we will try and maintain that it's not necessarily required to do so. The next thing a town like this would have, and we're not making any money yet, so we won't be building anything else just yet, is a school, of course. To the back of this, we will actually allocate over there because that is pretty standard to build that out, and we'll do the same over there. So nice, we're getting more residential popping up, and hopefully that'll push our income into the green. But we are chugging along nicely, and our little town is developing oh so smoothly. Okay, so the one thing we did not do is we actually didn't name the town. It's still called like Namesville or Lakedale. So let's call it Exactville. Exactville, right? Because why? We are building it realistically. That's why it's called Exactville. It doesn't mean exact angles, it doesn't mean exactly the way it would look, but it means we are building it realistically. Excellent. So Exactville is up and running. And not quite there yet. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit more residential zoning. Kind of just fill out a few more sections. Over here and over here. I don't want to necessarily start building. And there we go, in the green. So we need to constantly keep an eye on that. We need to balance the way we provide services and the income that we are generating. Okay guys, so this has been the first episode of Cities Skylines Mass Transit, in which we're playing the town called Exactville, because it's going to be exactly a town development in terms of function. Okay, but if you've liked this episode, please give me a thumbs up and let me know in the comments what you think of playing it realistically instead of visually appealing. Because I would like to hear if anybody else feels the same way I feel about the way people play City Skylines. So anyway, give me a like, subscribe to the channel, and this has been City Skylines Exactly. Thank you very much. Bye bye.